Hi everybody. Hi Mr. Horvath. I know I'm a little late, but I just got the extraordinary idea of and that interested me about voter turnout and voter politics in the United States. And I think it's a real good issue because I think it pertains more to where I'm from and to where my background is from, as well as like my community as a whole when it comes to them voting for public office. And so when you think about Hispanic voters, you could almost certainly think about them voting Democrat because of like other knowledge, misconceptions, and stuff like that. But as of 2016, though, there has been a shift on the voter turnout in the way that Hispanic voters actually vote in the United States. And it's really weird due to the fact that in 2016 it was the Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump election. And already knowing that Donald Trump was a huge xenophobe when it came to people coming from the southern border. So I just wanted to, find out why it was that Hispanic voters are voting this way, and get to the bottom of it, and then provide a reason why Hispanic voters should be voting Democratic because it benefits them in the long run. But yeah, starting from the beginning, in 2015, President Donald Trump was actually making his rounds all over the United States. And on the 15th of June, 2015, he took a campaign stop, and that's when he gave like his speech about how the Mexicans are when Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best, and he calls them rapists and murderers and like stuff like that, and that we're not sending Mexico's not sending their best to the United States. And from the get-go, you can see that President Donald Trump has very strong feelings against Hispanics and just immigration as a whole. So like that, it just mind boggles me that in 2015 there was according to the Pew Research Center, there was about 34.5 million Hispanic voters that were eligible to vote in that election. Which is about 33% of the population at the time, and so now in that election you could say that there was about you could say 29% of the Latino vote went for Trump, went Republican, which amounts to 11 million 500,500 people, Latinos that voted for the Republican Party, which just mind boggles me due to the fact that has very strong anti-Hispanic, anti-immigration aspects into this rhetoric, but regardless, it just it's to this right now. I'm still like it boggles me, but now. But when I started researching this topic, I started, realizing that Hispanics, there's a general misconception that Hispanics are only, interested in issues regarding immigration, which is not very true at all. So, one of the main things that two of the actual main problems, issues they are more interested in is economics, for one, and more social issues. One of them I found, which was abortion. So Hispanic voters usually are kind of weird. They are swing voters in the United States, due to the fact that they are more conservative when it comes to the social issues, because of their Catholicism, Catholic background. It's more traditional. But when it comes to more economic situations, they are more liberal because they favor those safety nets like SNAP and like the food drives and like welfare and stuff like that too. So that's one of the more contributing factors that I'm going to be talking about right now. But for one thing, the reason Hispanics voted for Trump, specifically men, Republican Latino men, started pouring for support for Donald Trump in the millions because you know they see Donald Trump as this huge business mogul, and they want to aspire to be him. They idolize Donald Trump, and because of that, because of that, his wealthy macho political stances and stuff like that, they strive to become like that because they are more traditional in a sense. They also, in a article written by the New York Times, what drives Latino men to Republicans, they stated that many Hispanic men say that they were more prosperous when Donald Trump was in office due to the lower tax cuts. And these men also were motivated to vote Republican because more social issues that were on the spectrum at the time. Many mentioned anti-abortion views, support for gun rights, and more strict immigration policies. But yeah, regardless about those social issues, Latino men strive for those economic tax cuts because they believe that if they get those tax cuts, they could somehow become like Donald Trump in a sense. It's not all Latino men though. That's the thing. That's what I heavily want to emphasize. But it's a huge proportion of those Latino men that want to vote for Trump because of tax cuts and because they want to make it rich, in a sense. But what they don't understand is that these tax cuts only benefit the top 1%, as Bernie would say. So in a sense, they would not be seeing these benefits that these quote unquote, tax cuts will be bringing towards to them. But another thing that the Latino base was heavily pushing and heavily, emphasizing regarding social issues is okay. Let me backtrack here. I'm gonna go back to the economic reasons that they wanted to vote for, and one of those, Donald Trump at the time was, he was a newly elected president, but when it came, when 2020 came around, nobody expected the the COVID pandemic. And it was due in part because of the lack of, and more disregard of the president at the time, and he let it spread like wildfire. And during the COVID pandemic, the Latino community as a whole suffered the most. So they suffered the brunt of it. They suffered economic disparities due to amounting hospital bills and stuff like that, and they also were more at risk to die and get COVID due to those reasons because they most of them lacked health care. That's the one thing that they don't understand. That's like if they don't want to go to the hospital because they lack health care. But Donald Trump was this mogul and this champion of economic opportunity. But when it came to it, there was a study from the University of Southern California that said that infection rates for Hispanics were disproportionately higher, and it was a huge disproportionate amount of Hispanics that were dying of COVID during that time, and and most of them were facing financial disparities. In that same paper, they talked about how Donald Trump was offering these families stimulus checks, you could say, COVID relief checks as he called it, but they were only $1,200 per person and $500 per child, which is nowhere near amount of money, to help a family grow. So you can't be the champion of economic opportunity when these people that are obviously suffering and obviously voted for you by the masses are dying because of your lack of empathy. I think so. That's one thing I still can't get my head wrapped around. So jumping to the next issue I was going to talk about earlier, social issues. Like I said, Donald Trump is very outspoken Christian, and he is very traditional in many aspects of the word. So that's why a lot of Latinos also flock towards the Republican Party because of their more traditional Catholic background. So when it came to like more contemporary, issues like the women's rights, abortion, many Latinos actually, voted, against the Supreme Court's decision. But about 51, which is most of Hispanics at the time, 51% of Catholic and Protestant Hispanics say that abortion should be illegal in most or all cases, and that was from an article written by the Pew Research Center. And so I was just wondering what the disproportionate amount of people, Latinos, more specifically Latina women, go through when they don't have access to abortion. And I found that the effects of overturning Roe v. Wade is going to bear a lot of fruit, and it's going to affect mostly Hispanic and African American women. In the newsletter by the Illinois Unidos and Latino Agenda, African American and Latino women are 80% more likely to receive late or no prenatal care than white women. And this is because Hispanic and African American women are prone to more serious health risks or even death because of their lack of affordable health care. And so stripping away the right for a woman to actually get an abortion, puts them more at risk for death or even just losing the child to begin with, which is, something that, pro-lifers are highly against, killing a child or a fetus. So that's the thing that with the Republican Party, I don't understand. So the Hispanics usually should be voting Democratic because it benefits them in the long run. The Democratic Party is, pushing for more economic, opportunities, more political equality, as well as more workers' rights. Gavin Newsom recently put into bill, to prevent farm workers, Hispanic farm workers, to get belittled by their bosses, and help them actually make unions for their workplace. So there is a lot of there is hope in the horizon, because in the last midterm election, there was a breakthrough of Hispanic turnout. And the Latino vote base are a force to be reckoned with because they have to actually decide who gets in and not, because they're more of a swing-based voter. So now, in the last midterm election, 60% of Latinos voted Democrat. So there is still hope in the horizon. So I just wanted to, speech was more of an informative speech, but I wanted to, give you guys an opportunity to understand what the stakes are at this point. And because why Latinos should be voting in the masses for the Democratic Party, because first of all, voting Republican is more of a irresponsible approach, even though they would have much more economic opportunity and social opportunities with the Democratic Party in the long run. So with that, I just wanted to say thank you for a great semester, Mr. Horvath. And I hope to see you around, and thank you for all the memories in this semester. So I'm very grateful for everything you've done in this classroom. Thank you, and have a nice day.